Hey guys, welcome to Tales from a Retro Gamer, episode number 15. Very special episode today. My lovely bride is joining us, Carice Weiss. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody.
We have been married over 25 years, and we had our anniversary in Chicago, had a great time. As a matter of fact, you can watch an episode of that where we encountered a Pokemon Go festival going on. Anyway, she's been putting up with me over 25 years. She, not a huge gamer, but she tolerates it. Let's just put it that way. So we just recently got back from Mo Game Con, and tell us about that a little bit.
So while we were at the convention in St. Louis, Brett was a guest, and so he did a panel with Walter Day. While he was upstairs doing the panel, I manned our table. So I was selling books and games and whatnot to different people who would come by. Well, this one couple came by, and they bought an old game. And when I saw the title of it, I kind of flinched a bit because it was Street Fighter 2.
For the Super Nintendo. And Carice and I used to play in the early 90s when we were first married, 93 to be precise. Or 94, I guess. I need to know when we were married.
You should know when
we were married in 94. And like I said, it was our 25th anniversary recently. We used to play Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and we would play different games. We would play Centipede for ColecoVision with the great roller controller.
Still my favorite.
Her favorite game, home game of all time, and favorite game in the arcades is Centipede.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, and so we would play. We started playing some Street Fighter 2 Turbo because I reasoned there's a two-player game we could play at the same time. Because sometimes you'd get frustrated if we were alternating because my turns would take too long or whatever. Perfect solution, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. As everybody knows, Super Nintendo fans know, this is an awesome game, just a great arcade translation, excellent game, but it did cause a little bit of trouble in the old Weiss household.
Yeah, well, we started playing, and of course it is a fighting game, and here I am playing Chun-Li, and I'm kind of trying out some of the moves, and I gotta tell you, my main technique is just to press a bunch of buttons.
You're a button masher.
I am a button masher, but I learned a couple of things, like I could do the lightning kicks, and I was pretty proud of that. And
you could shoot fireballs.
I could do certain skills that I had no idea I would be able to do, and I even won one of our matchups.
Yeah, pretty early on, you won, and you might have won once or twice. And
it gave me hope, because
yeah.
I never beat him at video games. So suddenly here I am. I've got hope that I can actually win this fighting game.
She's got some moves. She's, playing pretty well. Well, when she beat me a couple times, I got pretty serious. And so I just started beating the crap out of her, and I'm sorry.
It did
and that really upset you.
Go well.
Did it ever come to tears, or?
Yes, it came to tears.
I didn't want to say.
There was yelling. There were tears. Yes,
it got bad.
It was terrible.
Right, and so
because I felt like the love of my life was just killing me. It was not good. It was not good.
Yeah, and so what I did was, the game has an option where you can handicap the fights. You can make, you can lean it towards the strong, towards the weaker player, where their character's stronger or whatever. And so I offered to do that, to handicap the fights, to even up the matches. And what did you think about that?
That was not a good idea.
You didn't like that idea.
That was such an insult that made me even madder. So all of my emotions just kind of intensified when you offered that, because it was kind of like saying, well, I'm the better player.
Right.
So poor you, you were having pity on me, and I didn't take to the pity very well. I'm a super competitive person. I'm not good at sports. There are a lot of things that I don't do well, but I'm still competitive, and it just made me crazy that you would try to.
Well, that was. I thought I was being nice, but in the game. Well, our daughter has your same attitude, and she definitely gets it honest. So Katie, our daughter, when she was little, she's in her 20s now, but when she was little, she never wanted any kind of advantage, even if she was playing against adults. And bowling, she absolutely refused bumpers. She hated that, even if she was getting several gutters. She did not want training wheels on her bicycle, and she learned to ride really quickly without training wheels. So she definitely got it honest. So way to carry on the legacy of over the top.
I can see how, for the game designers, that's a really cool thing to have in the game. I can see how that would be a big advantage. Yeah. So then you can have two-player games with people of all different levels.
There's great players and not so great players.
And for most people, most pairs of people, that probably would be okay. But for me,
didn't work.
Not so much. And truly, I don't beat you in video games because you have years and years and years of experience on me. You know, when I was growing up, we didn't have Atari or ColecoVision or Intellivision or any of those games. I had to go over to a friend's house to play that. We had like the Sears Pong knockoff. I think that's the only game system we ever had. I mean, I had the little handheld, those like Mattel Electronics, the basketball game, stuff like that. But really, my video game experience was limited to Friday nights after the football games when my band friends and I would go play at Mazzio's Pizza.
You remember what games you played?
I remember a whole lot of Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I know I never really got into Space Invaders or Asteroids or any of those kind of shooters, but yeah, I love the maze games. Cubert, still never mastered it, but
right.
Still just for fun. But really, those Friday nights in that arcade were more about socializing than playing the games.
You were more about picking up guys than playing games.
Oh yeah, yeah. We band girls. That's what we're about.
Now there was one instance where pretty early in we were dating. There was one instance, speaking of just me being a hardcore gamer, I was gone with my brother-in-law and his family, my sister and everybody, to Atlanta to attend a Diamond Comics Retailers Conference because my brother-in-law and Mike and I, we owned a comic book store called Fantastic Comics back in this time. And we went out to Atlanta with this, just incredible seminar. It was great. It was gone a week. Did I forget to call you while I was there? Or
yeah,
but we won't go into that. Yeah, we don't want to exacerbate this situation. No. Anyway,
you've been gone a week.
Yeah, I'd been gone a week, and we were newly dating and everything. And when I get home, I'm chilling, I'm winding. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kick back and play some Atari. I don't remember exactly the game I was playing, but it was Atari or ColecoVision. And during this time, you came over, and my roommate Glenn answered the door because I was busy playing this game, and you came in.
And he would not stop the game to greet me after a week of being apart.
Well, my big mistake was I wasn't playing a game that had a pause on it. This was Atari or ColecoVision.
You had paused our relationship for a week while you went to Atlanta.
But
you couldn't pause your game to greet me.
But I had a great score. I don't remember the game, but I had an excellent score going. And if you're
I would think I would be an excellent scorer, but you
were. But you have to remember, the early ColecoVision games didn't have pause, and a lot of Atari 2600 games didn't have pause because there was no pause button on the consoles. Now later games, there might be on the ColecoVision a number on the keypad where you could pause the game. The Atari 2600, some later games, you could do the black and white option would pause the game, like the little toggle that would take it to black and white would pause the game. That doesn't not an excuse?
No, pretty much no.
Have you forgiven me by now?
Of course I have. But no, we wouldn't be married for 25 years.
Yeah.
But the experience thing, that was huge. Just that you had all of that experience playing these games.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. Even when we would play other kinds of games together, you would get more experience because you always ended up playing 2, 3, 4 times longer than I did.
Like the 2-player alternating games, if we were playing something like maybe Frogger or Space Invaders or something where we alternate.
Or even Centipede, which is, my...
Yeah, or Centipede. I would go first, I guess because it was my games.
Yeah,
For some reason I would always go first.
first.
And then so we would alternate, and I would get a high enough score to win extra lives, and so I would go last as well. So you kind of felt... And so we did.
So go in first and last. And then conveniently, if you got off to a bad start, since you were going first, we'll just restart.
I was guilty of hitting the reset button if I got off to a really bad start.
Yeah.
Because you hadn't gone yet, so I figured it was fair.
Right.
But actually it was kind of hogging the system. I was like a bad older sibling or something instead of a husband or boyfriend at that point. But in 1994, we did resolve this issue to a great degree when the excellent Donkey Kong Country came out for the Super Nintendo. Excellent, beautiful game, and what was so great about it, you could play 2-player, and it wasn't exactly simultaneous because you weren't actually physically playing and pushing the buttons at the same time, but you were going through the game together, and you would give each other high five to alternate control on the same game during the same adventure. And so, how did this work? Why did you like this so much better?
Well, it's a lot like our relationship.
Oh,
where
no,
we can...
That's...
We can play off each other's strengths.
Okay, there you go.
And so when I'm playing Diddy Kong, there were certain things I could do that, you wouldn't be able to do. So,
my character.
You could have. But at least I got to pretend like I was contributing.
And we could go back earlier in the game to get extra lives, and it was fun for you just to to play those earlier levels just to rack up a bunch of lives. And if we got to a super difficult screen, maybe you would switch it over to me and I would play or whatever.
And just like in life, we work a lot better when we're working together than against
instead of
each other.
So the moral of the story is, instead of fighting with your wife, cooperate. Probably a good idea. Now, there is one particular video game, a PlayStation 2 game, that she absolutely destroys me at every single time without fail.
And I have to tell you that to find a game where I am the far superior player is just such a joy. And yes, it's the Friends trivia game, the one with all the trivia.
Which is barely a video game, I might add.
PlayStation 2.
Okay,
PlayStation
you're right.
2.
PS2, hardcore best-selling game system of all time.
Yes.
So it counts.
And what's cool about it, and just to kind of tie it to our marriage, this is the 25th anniversary of the Friends premiere this fall. And it's kind of cool because Friends, it was brand new when our marriage was brand new.
Right.
So it's kind of cool that it
great show. We really enjoyed it together. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed these stories about us playing Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And speaking of, or I should say Street Fighter 2 Turbo, I still have that original pristine copy. I take very good care of my video games. I've been collecting since, I was a kid. So there you go. There's the original game. For more stories like this story's in there. Our story about playing Donkey Kong Country is in the SNES Omnibus, Volumes 1 and 2. Now, most of the stories in this books are by programmers, developers, convention organizers, game store owners, journalists, etc., people in the industry. But a few stories in there slipped in from family members, my wife and my son Ryan included. So check out the SNES Omnibus. You can find it on my website, brettweisswords.com, or just hop on over to Amazon. And once again, that's the SNES Omnibus, the Super Nintendo and its games. Volume 1 and 2. So
Donkey Kong Country in the first one?
Donkey Kong Country in Volume 1, Street Fighter 2 Turbo in Volume 2. So there you go. There's our little commercial for the show. So my question for you this week is there a particular game that has caused a really heated rivalry between you and your loved one, or you and a friend, or you and a sibling or parent? Just that game that just really... Like maybe it went beyond competition where you kind of actually got angry at each other a little bit.
or cried.
Or cried. If anything like that's happened to you, please comment below. I'd love to hear your stories. And speaking of comments, last week, my Mo GameCon episode got some really cool comments. For starters, Pixel Dan, you may have seen him in the documentary The Video Game Years. Really cool guy, really well known in the gaming industry. Really excited that he commented on my video. He goes, "Thanks for the shout out. It was great to meet you. Glad you got to go to the Toyman show. I'm local, so I get to go to that show often. It's always great." Yeah, it was excellent meeting Pixel Dan at the show. Very cool.
And the toy show was awesome too?
Yeah, the toy show was amazing. So, Neo Solid 22 says, "This is Chad from Mo GameCon." He's one of the organizers. "We were glad to have you and appreciate the kind words about the con. Glad you enjoyed it." And this comment from Cavaliers R Us. "My wife was the one that was going around with the flyers, and we are glad that you were able to make it to the Toyman show and happy to see some of your pickups." Excellent show. You enjoyed it as well.
I loved it.
The
Mine
Mo
had a big
GameCon
pickup,
and
too.
the toy show.
That's
Both
right.
great shows.
Yeah, Mo GameCon was a whole lot of fun. So many people. We were hopping. In
Yeah.
fact, that 1 hour that you were gone for that panel, we were busy. So it was
It was a great show
lot of
around. Sold a
fun.
ton of books, and there was just a great energy in the air. Just super fun show.
Great weekend.
So, Carice and I haven't played Street Fighter 2 Turbo in years. I mean, this episode was all about that, but we haven't actually touched that game together in forever. And so, if you would like to see us play it and maybe do an episode about it, click on the like button. Speaking of that, if you could go to directly below this video, that red subscribe button, if you could click that, that would be super helpful. If you want to share the video, that would be great as well. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching the video. And do you think you want to be on another episode at some point?
Well, sure. Why not? This is fun.
Well, thanks for being on. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace out. Cavaliers. Let's see, how do you say this? Cavaliers Russ. Cavaliers Russ. And this from Cavaliers. And this from Cavaliers Russ. Cavaliers Russ. This for. Okay.
Wait.
Oh
look at
my
it.
gosh.
Cavaliers are us.
Oh.
You think?
Yes.
Okay.
We've